Climate change is increasing the risk of conflict across the Horn of Africa. The result of global warming and intensifying droughts are forcing people from their homes and compel them to compete for resources. Like in many countries around the world, climate change and prolonged droughts have led to reduced harvests and increased ethnic tensions between border communities in Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, and South Sudan, where people jostle for access to pasture and water. The Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, says that climate change may not always be a direct cause of conflict, but it can multiply and amplify existing risks to peace and security. People who are already in vulnerable situations, including those living in poverty or in situations of conflict, may experience impacts more acutely because they have less capacity for coping and fewer resources from which to build resilience. Last year, the region witnessed one of the worst global droughts in recent history, the most terrible to hit Kenya, Somalia, and Ethiopia in over 70 years. According to the Food and Security Nutrition Working Group, the ravaging drought and extreme temperatures threaten the lives of 20 million people in the region and increase disputes over transboundary pastures.
Ane bullo choto atiapako na yerlo choto akiru etepi iyarang bare ya tali longoro longo loku do wada atoria mutu ani kata apa ya ko pakata apa ko do diana ke yo do wa ya de ebo yeringolo lo na barenda na ko gidan lo barenda ye na malte nyang bari akin na ichino na to ko na ipe yo ngani ki chumi akin ya kan tari pagrado anga malte tanyo na ngamoya ya na malte tanyo na kuro ye na malte amara ela padati aramiaku ela padati kremete ngamo
hotere akuja lope yezio rubi masao yote yozubi ninya yozubi ngitunga yozubi ngibare itemogno kakwanga boyo poteda tumwale kizi bwerni beyo nyalu kidia make na kizi ngakipi kwa sababu kikyara kola kuju ipe todorte ngungui wagi chebere kidia manenia ya onya ngakipi to ma kwapa ninya jago ake nitinga kuroda kop ati ya onete beya ko mojeda ayya ninya kop amambere be akamu aloto matu kwen ayya kadin kili ologo to kala akwar eta hate mutunga manat ayya kadin mutunga lodonga evilita kop amamarem aremona ayye amamarema atom aremona akwara ngedi ayye na kibala nini akidil na kop bua kiruna kop ngedi aranga korona ajogo kala to ma kop abala yung kanike kaya karena wala nyang katuyan yang ata markane akadu ko hi akoro abala na wala nyang ta talemo ku koru lokanga yede lokolo kata pa kan lokolo kadu ni ta pa kan ye ngiti akodo ye ngiti ngerata ngiti wele buna wala nyang minin ko na leger ko na yang bele na kanike kan kala lo kan ngiti atogol tingi via kama atogol ti kama abala ngolini abala yo nini.
In Ethiopia, South Sudan, Uganda, and Kenya, the Ateker community have reaffirmed their commitment to work jointly to end cattle rustling menace in the region. The Lokiriama Peace Accord, a peace treaty between the Turkana people of Kenya and the Matheniko of Uganda, signed in December 1973, marked an end to the loss of lives among foes now turned friends. Every year, celebrations are held to reaffirm the commitment to the accord.
The purpose of inviting these people to Lokiama Peace Accord is to invite them so that they learn from the Turkanas, and when they go back, they emulate it, they practice it in their areas. They learn the importance of it, because we are enjoying now. We can walk on foot from here to Madeniko or to Karamoja communities without any problems than there before. So that thing is a good change.
The long association of these pastoralists to the livestock has enabled them to acquire a vast range of indigenous traditional knowledge that is critical for managing and protecting livestock. These skills are passed down from one generation to another and enable them to understand weather patterns and predict what is ahead. Other ways of predicting the weather include observing the sleeping positions and general behavior of animals, the characteristics exhibited by certain species of trees and flowering plants, the changes in the sun, the moon, the stars, the wind direction, the color of the clouds and the sky, and reading dust clouds from beating shoes together. The outcome of these forecasts are used to make important decisions, helping communities cope with extreme climate events and cushion themselves against climate change. Scientific forecasts can also help these communities, particularly if it is presented in ways that are understandable and meaningful to them.
What we do is we normally have the participatory scenario planning, whereby before we used to work with the ASDSP, whereby it used to invite the stakeholders from all the sub-counties and even the community guys. We used to gather maybe at the St. Teresa there. So we used to slaughter the goat. We look at the intestines. They present it first, because what we don't want is what I'm presenting, they might copy it. You remember you want what that guy at the disaster said. He doesn't know what brings us together, because what we say is what even the Wazee says. So they present their focus first. We hit the goat, and then we record what we Wazee have said. Then after that, we go back into the hall. Then the net comes in, and he presents his or a convention focus. The two they are similar. Then we try to integrate them. So the reason why we do that, we don't want the community to say that we are forcing the conventional focus to them. We want them to own this focus, the one that they are producing, and the conventional focus, so that the community can feel very happy, and then they own that kind of focus. I think you want the testimonies that they were giving out. Whatever Meti says is always correct.
In West Pokot County of northern Kenya, communities generally trust indigenous focus more than the scientific one. This is largely attributed to the fact that focus provided by the National Meteorological and Hydrological Service do not address finer details required at the village level.
Inegi juari nyo rosa chaka nyo lenyidi. Suya la ki intanya anda me indagi.
Marok moe.
Longani. Mele na ya. Ye wari nyo kya ye tegi ja donde te kele ja. Atigi ai dio mele dio. Emma galta dige ba ga ba ga Uganda. Mele na ya. Watigi wanye suso mi watumero ni gorondio. Emma galta dige ba ga Uganda. Anda galta masai. Te gembur gule gira ko de kunyarle de am mi walde bero ne lat. Ina kami donde ke wangi dia donde ke kata ke tega wari nyole uwe yubiga mengi Uganda le yan.
Vitu mbili tunataka ndio ile ndio tupunguze hii ukali. Ya kwanza ni ile mtu alikuwa anasema tutoe maji mtoni, peita mtokerio ya weiwei mari ikuje nje watu walime. Hiyo ndio itapunguza ukali ya mabadiliko ya hanga. Ya pili, sisi kama wapukaji tukabadilisha hii wanyama yetu iwe ngamia ambaye inaweza ikakaa kwa muda kuliko ng'ombe. Tukabadilisha tu iwe ngamia. Nafikiri hiyo ndio ya muhimu sana.
Tuko na maji mengi sana ambaye inatoka Takwel. Hiyo maji kitolewa tu itusaidie kwa mambo ya irrigation. Itatusaidia sisi kama Wapokot pia na Turkana. Sisi tupatiwe pipe yetu ya kuangalia upande wa Pokot, ngine iteremshwe upande wa Turkana. Sasa tukiwa watu wa kulima wote, nafikiri mambo ya insecurity itapungua.
Pande hii ukipata wanyama mingi kwa baada ya msituni na ilikuwa na nyasi, hata sisi tuna believe maybe hao wanyama walipotoka pande hii na kiangazi ikakuja. Hiyo ndio tuna believe kwamba kama ikakuwa na wanyama ya msituni na ikakuwa ni mzuri. Hata tumeona kwamba tunaweza tenga pale fulani na tuweke wanyama at least iwe conservancy. Maybe Mungu atatuona ili hao vijana wetu wachunge, na maybe hapo itakuwa na nyasi. Wakati wa kiangazi tunaingiza ng'ombe.
Today, meteorology is increasingly advanced and reliable predictions can be generated based on capacity of contemporary climate radar and related tools. However, for many people, climate prediction and weather forecast may appear difficult to comprehend. Therefore, the National Meteorological and Hydrological Services in the region are piloting initiatives that address these shortcomings. For this to be successful, governments, local media, and community leaders must encourage the sharing of information and initiate robust preparedness strategies for severe climatic events.
One of the benefits is that resilience. We build resilience of the communities on the ground to adapt to climate change variability for the season, looking at how best they can diversify their activities, probably farming, keeping of animals, on how best they can have the animal husbandry, issues of food security and all that. Most of the people have accepted that this is the way to go. If people can come together, share ideas, share experiences, share forecasts together, that one, much of the county have accepted that this is the way to go. We haven't separated the IT and said, you don't have anything to do with us. We have come together, they have accepted. Issues of accessibility now is so good because after the workshop, we give everyone else to go and disseminate. We have the radios around, we have the emails around, we have WhatsApps, we have all those avenues for dissemination.
The late onset and poor performance of the much anticipated October to December short rains in 2022 further deteriorated the drought situation, worsening in all ASAL counties of Kenya, with the exception of one. There, the government stepped in to alleviate hunger and distribute relief food to starving families and livestock.
3.5 million citizens in the Republic of Kenya are today severely affected by drought, not to mention livestock and other areas that are affected, delivery of water, the absence of pasture in many parts of our country. Currently, we have 23 counties across the country that are suffering the very serious and severe effects of drought. I also want to say that to thank the military, NYS, our development partners for mobilizing the transportation of this food around the country and into the counties that require this food. And we are looking forward to working with others to make sure that we facilitate this whole exercise.
An analysis of the December 2022 rainfall indicates that the ASAL counties experienced depressed rainfall, with a state of pasture and browse in most counties remaining poor. According to the September 2022 risk report published by the National Drought Management Authority (NDMA), about 4.3 million people were in need of emergency food assistance in Kenya.
To take into consideration the long-term effects of climate change. And that's why we were running a program called EDE, Ending Drought Emergencies Framework, which had around 6 pillars. One pillar was peace and security. The other one is human capital. And the other one is climate-proof infrastructure. And the other one is DRM, disaster risk management, or drought risk management. The other one is institutional development and knowledge management. So we are looking at those pillars. When we say climate-proof infrastructure, we mean if you are to do a water plant, for example, you do it in a manner that will support that community across season, to be able to hold enough water or sufficient water to push the community to the next rain. So that's the thinking, that if you are to do something, ensure it is climate proof, it's able to push that constituency or the pastoralist to the next. If you are doing a borehole, do it in a manner that transcend the stress to the next rain.
The nexus between climate change, peace, and security is complex. Even though climate change does not directly or inherently cause violent conflict, the interaction with other social, political, economic, environmental, and demographic factors can exacerbate conflict drivers and fragility that negatively impact peace and security. For West Pokot County, this is no different.
West Pokot County, mostly the livelihoods of the people here, they are pastoralists. And now when it comes to the climate change, the drought, the effect of drought, you see people will start losing their livestock. And then again, it's going to disrupt the livelihoods of the people because they can't get the produce from the kind of activity they are doing. And again, there's a lot of movement in search of pasture and people moving around, others as well going out to the neighboring countries like Uganda, because we have Pokots in Uganda. So you'll find there's a lot of movement, people going across in search of pasture. And again, the issue of climate change again has affected, let's say, the issue of security, because you'll find that movement alone. If, for example, those who are not natives from here, or those who are from here, they go to the neighboring counties, you will find there's a lot of conflict which might arise.
It is essential to assess which legal tools that are currently applied in the local and international levels need to be redesigned to fit specific contexts faced by counties in the region. For example, by recognizing global efforts to promulgate law and practice guides such as the 27 draft principles of the International Law Commission of May 2022 on the protection of the environment in relation to the armed conflict, member states may, under the leadership of IGAD, develop common regional principles on climate, peace, and security.
kolana marpet alla mangale kolana marpet ke bersana bersih ke bersana bersih ke bersana bersih aye ke bersana malda ngabukisin aye ke bersana nyamal ke bersana wargato aye ke yarat lilil umbukurinyo aye ke yaramani umbukorobukutai aye tomito mani tomito kurin tomito mani tomito kurinyo somana monang umbukurin tomito mani umbukorobukut somana monang kengoro barren tomito mani tomito korobukut